And there we are. Hello, I'm John, your carnivore teacher, with a special interview today. My very first interview that I did way back was with Rick from Miami, the 41-year-old carnivore. I guess it was maybe about a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. And today I'm excited to welcome back Rick for his second interview today. And I couldn't be happier to have him again. He's been living the carnivore lifestyle for about 42 years and has been waiting for that heart attack from eating saturated fat all these years, long before it was trending, long before social media, and long before anyone called it carnivore. You probably know him as Charger Mopar or by his nickname, the Duck Man. Rick is a true South Florida original, living in Miami, raising ducks, dealing with iguanas, and dwelling with them, and thriving on a pure animal-based diet for over 4 decades. Rick's story is one of consistency, health, and real-world experience. We're going to dive into his life surrounded by nature, his adventures with ducks and iguanas, and his cat, and what it's like maintaining perfect health for more than 40 years eating this way. Plus, we'll talk about his plans and my plans. We're going to meet each other in Tampa in a couple of weeks at Hack Your Health. Really excited to finally meet you in person, Rick. So please join in and welcome my friend Rick the Duck Man.
Hey, I'm always glad to associate with my carnivore friends. And I guess out of all of them, you're probably the closest because I live in a carbohydrate paradise. I live in a place where carnivores are not common. In fact, I have yet to meet any carnivores from the Miami area. I'm the exception. And a lot of it, I think, is because we have so many people from Latin America and the Caribbean. They love carbohydrates. I think a lot of them, I mean, those are basically poor countries. So they get used to the rice and beans and the fruit and stuff like that. Because even though tropical fruit is not cheap, like even here in Miami, if you plant the trees, you can get it for free.
Right.
So, but it will be great to finally meet you in person. And I look forward to it. So far, I've only met one person from the carnivore community, and that
Peter?
was Russ. Huh?
Was it Pete?
No.
Popcorn? You didn't meet
Russ.
I thought
Russ Mitchell. Peter, I have not met. I know you.
Okay. I met him, but accidentally first. We didn't plan on that meeting, but and then I met him again. I thought you met Peter. Okay, so who's Russ?
Russ Mitchell. We have Keto Cookout every Tuesday, and I'm on every other week.
Okay.
He originally came from, he was in Carrie's group. He was a friend of Jeff DeProsperous.
Is he the comedian guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I was on a
Yes.
couple of lives with him. Yeah, I just didn't get the name.
He likes to sing. He does the reverend bit.
Yes. Is he a minister too? Isn't he like
well, he has a religious background. I don't believe he's an actual ordained minister.
So does he live near here? Is that how you got to meet him, or he just was driving?
He lives up in Jacksonville. The reason I got to meet him is really because of him. It wasn't anything I did. I'm poor. I can't travel much. In fact, I haven't traveled in 20 years. The last time that I left Miami was in 2005. So that gives you an example. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get to Tampa. I was going to drive my truck, but it's a long story. I'm going to have to take the bus because, I guess we'll talk about, we'll talk about that as time goes on. But the main thing is we bet because of his initiative. He had set up his YouTube channel. He was on with Carrie. He used to have the show. It's still called Keto Cookout. You had Adam and you had Carrie and you had people that would come in and I would drop in and I was a comedy relief. So you look at that, it's like, oh, that Rick guy, I could see some of them, they go like this. Here comes Rick. Rick's going to be talking about silly things like ducks and iguanas. And what happened eventually when Carrie kind of got into the whole healing humanity group, I guess some of the other people, they went in that direction. And they separated from Russ's show. And Russ was debating, should he continue with the show or should he get rid of it? And then he decided to contact some of the people that he liked. There were 3 of us, and now it's 2. You have Laura Russell, and you have me. So, and then, of course, after doing that, I think that Russ was very, very happy that we became friends. He says, when I come down to Florida, I'm going to make a special trip and meet Rick.
Nice. Well, just wait when you get to Tampa. The people you're going to meet. You're going to meet all the people we see on YouTube, plus all the really cool influencers. We'll meet Dr. Baker. We're going to meet Dr. Berg. We're going to meet, well, Ken Berry's not going to be there, but like Dr. Chafee's probably going to be there. And just to see these people in person, when I did it the first time, I was like, I wish I could let that go. I think I could do that now. But when I was there, I was like this silly kid meeting his famous movie star. I couldn't come up with my words, and I'm taking selfies and acting like an idiot because I shook Dr. Chafee's hand, right? And I'm meeting him in person. And, you know, I think I'm not going to do that this time. But it was so exciting to see everybody in person. You know, I met Nia and Christy. I saw Carnivore Soldier, but you know, all these people we've lost touch with recently.
Yeah, Nia and Christy, they're great. They're great women. You know, the women in the carnivore community, I think, are underrated, but they're amazing to me. I find many of them more interesting than some of us guys.
Yeah, well, the different perspective, you know, and there's a lot. I've noticed there's just a lot more women in general in the carnivore community than men.
That's
I don't
a good
know why.
thing.
You would think it would be the other way around with meat and food.
No, but it's a good thing. We need more women. This is the thing.
Yeah.
The only way it becomes part of the culture, we need to have more women.
I agree. Definitely. So let's see. So let's talk about ducks. You're known as the Duck Man. You have lots of things to show. Whenever we're talking about you, whether you're on a show or not, I don't know if you know this, but your name comes up on probably everybody's broadcast. Everybody mentions Rick. The topic of ducks always come up. And
really?
Yeah. Even if you're not on that one time, like you're on a lot of times when I'm with people in their shows, but sometimes you're not there and we still talk about you. So whatever you're doing, people are very interested in your story because it's unique. You've been a carnivore. Is it coming up on 42 or are we already at 42 years?
Well, I started carnivore in 1983 in August. However, I went plant-based in 93 from January till about July.
Oh, okay.
So technically it's not 42 years, but but from the date that I started, it's more than 42 years.
Well, okay. All right. And you sprouted up, you were small and you got really tall at 6'7". Did you say you are?
With shoes on, I'm 6'7". I'm 6'6" barefoot.
Wow. Well, I'm 5'10", so I'll be looking up at you when I come and meet you. I'm sure you're used to that. And
I'm always used to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. And you know, when we get to Hack Your Health, I can't wait to meet you. We're gonna hopefully go out to lunch. We'll spend some time together, talk to each other in person. This event is going to blow your mind. If it's anything like last year's event, you know, which was just amazing. I think they've maybe doubled it in size. It's going to be just, and you who haven't traveled in such a long time, this is going to be so intense for you. So just, you're going to take it all in and don't go crazy.
You know, it's funny. I know you talk about meeting these people. I'm excited. I'm a weird person. I never look to anyone as like a celebrity or any kind of influence. I'm like the opposite. You know, I look at it just as regular people. It's people that I know, that I want to meet. I want to do things with them. My judgment will be when I see them in person, when I actually physically see someone in person. How they react to me is a really big, it's a way that I judge people. You can look at, for example, a movie, or you can look at media or whatever and get an idea, but that doesn't affect me. But when I see the person in person, and they look at, do they come up to me, or do I have to go to them? How do they talk? Do they seem to be sincere, or they seem to have their mind somewhere else? What is their mannerisms like? Do they walk fast or walk slow, or, you know, and then it'll all come in here. Then I'll be okay. But I am looking forward to meeting everyone, you, Dr. Kiltz, you know, Chafee, and, you know, anyone.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how they're going to treat me. That's what I'm really.
I think you're going to be like a movie star, to be honest with you. Everybody wants to see Rick the Duck Guy. Everybody knows you. So it's going to be fun. And when I went the last year, And I spent all this time in front of the camera. You know, you're sitting here like this with your laptop or your computer and the camera, and it is very, very different when you meet somebody in person. And last year, everybody that I met in person, they were the same. They were the same personality. It was even heightened. It was better because you got to see them in 3D and touch them and shake their hand, hug them, stuff like that. So I
Right.
think, yeah, it was fun. But yeah, other people have said what I said. You get a little, it's like Hollywood, like, oh, I'm meeting this famous person. You know, people have to line up to meet Dr. Eric Berg after he gives his talk. There's a line of 20 people, and you wait in line, and then he has a special person who holds the camera for you while you're shaking his hand. So you get that selfie because he has 14 million subscribers. And I know he's just a person, right? And I know that in my mind. But when you're there in person, it hits you a little differently. It's kind of fun. So let's go back to ducks. What's the duck season like down there today? We have lots in our neighborhood.
Well, I haven't really been around the neighborhood. I've been working around the house. I do ride and talks. I did one, was it the day before? Yesterday, I worked at a job. I was there till 10 o'clock. By the time I got home and had, I ate, I did eat some food from the engine. That's another story.
Yeah.
But then I had trouble with the van, the tires going bad and all that. But I did have meat around 6 o'clock. So I ate a long time before I had to come home. But I still had to put the tools away, take a bath. It was probably 12:30 at night before I finally got to bed.
Wow.
So, but the ducks, I didn't see any ducks yesterday, but the day before when I did my ride and talk, they were all along the canal. And I actually posted that video, and I go there, and a lot of times I go to the canal and I start thinking about duck, and it has a power. I know a lot of people are carbohydrate addicted. They'll go by the bakery or they'll go by wherever, I don't know what kind of food, the store, they see the duck food in the packages. But when I go by the canal, I see two of my favorite foods, the ducks and iguanas. And I start to think about, man, I would love to have some deep fried duck or maybe, a crock pot or roasted duck. And it starts getting around in my head. And then I go, delicious. And the thoughts of that duck, I can smell the cooking. It's hard to say. But today we got our first real cold front.
Right.
It was not 80 degrees. It's 75 degrees.
It's gorgeous out.
Yes. This is like my favorite time of the year.
Mine too. We opened the windows for the first time this year. We opened the windows. I love it. The whole house gets refreshed.
I can't open mine yet because it'll be hot in a couple days. So they're still closed, but the back windows are open.
All right.
I got the air conditioner. I lowered it down to 72 because normally I put it up to 76.
It won't
try to
turn
save
on.
energy.
Right. Yeah.
But I lowered it to 72. It feels really good. I love this weather. And I'm just thinking this is the reason why people came to Florida in the old days.
Right. This time from now until April or May is just paradise. And that's, of course, when all the snowbirds come down and bother us and clog up the roadways, which
that's right.
I'm not looking forward to. But you were born and raised down here, right? Miami.
I was born and raised in this same house.
In the same house.
In the same house. And I've seen how this place has changed, and it hasn't been for the good.
Yeah.
Basically, Miami was your typical southern city up until about 1980. And then we had a massive dump of migrants that came from Cuba, and then it just pulled everybody along with it. So what happened was the culture changed overnight. And the bad thing is, I mean, we've had Cubans before. They came in 1960 when that dictator Castro came into power. But that was more of sort of a business professional class. And a lot of them, they wanted their kids to learn English. But when the next wave came, they just kept the Spanish going, and it divided the community.
It did, yeah.
And then ever since then, it's just been kind of a struggle. They used to joke, well, the last American to leave Miami, take the flag with them. They used to say that all the time. But now you go to the store, you go anywhere, Spanish is the official language of Miami-Dade County. And as you know, if you live in Florida, as soon as you come down, it's like crossing the border. So it's something to get used to. And when you're born and raised here, and the thing is, I'm part Cuban myself, but I'm not, Spanish is not my main language. It's English because my parents came before 1960. Well, my dad came before 1960. My mother was not from Cuba. She was from Ohio. Her family is totally different ancestry. So when I grew up, English was it. But then things changed. So I've seen Miami change, and Miami has gone from kind of a neat place you have a mix of urban. You have the city of Miami.
Do you speak Spanish at all fluently?
I speak some Spanish, but it's not fluent. I can understand Spanish very well.
Okay.
But when it comes to speaking Spanish, my accent is more of a Midwestern American than it would be somebody from a Spanish-speaking country.
All right. I was always curious about that because I knew you were born and raised there. I think I heard from the past that your dad was he's Cuban, and the last name, obviously. So
Absolutely.
I thought
Rodriguez.
I thought maybe you knew Spanish too. So all right. So you're known as the Duck Man. You like duck. You talk about duck food, which is carbohydrates make them fat, which is of course what makes us fat. So what do ducks eat when we're not feeding them bread?
Well, ducks are birds, and birds will eat almost anything. They have a voracious appetite because birds tend to expend a lot of energy. I mean, they're warm-blooded. They fly. Flight takes a lot of energy. So they'll eat bugs. They'll eat seeds. A lot of birds love seeds. And that's one of the reasons why I came up with the term duck food, because I started to tell people, if you're eating seeds, you're a bird. So I call it duck food. And you think about all the commodity crops. You have rice, beans, corn, bread. Bread is made from wheat, which is a seed. So all these things I call them duck food. Now, I don't call fruit duck food per se. And I'm not against the consumption of fruit. Anyone that has seen since my first interview in August of 2022, I don't condemn fruit, because I do believe that most humans, except for those that are damaged, can eat fruit in season and do just fine. I mean, you can see wacky people like Saladino charging himself up with fruit and honey, and he doesn't get fat.
Every day for the whole year, though, he does.
Right. He does, but he doesn't get fat because of his metabolism. And of course, he's rich and he can go and exercise all the time or whatever. Right. But a normal human being that has to work for a living, that has to do things in a way that kind of makes sense, they would typically, there's a season. You may be raising vegetables. The vegetables, you harvest them. Some of them are preserved through fermentation. Sometimes they're through cooking. A lot of plant material, humans have learned how to survive. And I think that one of the reasons why we are all over the earth and we didn't go extinct is because we learned how to survive. We can leverage different food sources, and then we can continue to go. But then you have other people, like always with human beings, there's always a power structure. You have people at the top, and then you have everybody else. Most people want to be told what to do. I've heard people tell me, don't tell me how it works. Just tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that way. So I came up with the duck food term as just a quick way of explaining to people why I don't eat certain things. You go to a get-together, they'll have steak, which I'll eat. They'll have bacon or eggs. I'll eat that, but I won't eat the sandwich. Or if they give me a sandwich, I pick out the meat and a few things, and then I throw the rest of it to the ducks. I'm like, why do you do that? You don't want to eat the steak sandwich? I like the steak. I may even eat some of the vegetables. It's not beyond me to eat some onions or garlic at times. But the bread, to me, it's duck food because I don't see the purpose of it. The way I see it, that's a survival food. If it's prepared in the traditional way, for example, you grind the wheat with some rocks and then you ferment it using natural fermentation processes, and then you bake it, and you better eat it within a few hours because the next day is going to be as hard as a piece of concrete. You can do that. And we've done that for thousands of years. Human history is what, 7,000-8,000 years or whatever it is. Before that, who knows what people did? I would think that if you didn't have a way to make bread, you didn't have a way to store commodity crops, you would go out into the forest or into the field and you would look for something that you could eat that would be safe to eat. Plants, they're risky. You don't know. If you don't know specifically that one plant is edible, it can make you very sick or it can kill you. All plants contain some type of toxin. People have been able to deal with it. They learn how to do it. But birds have a gizzard. They have very acidic stomach. They can eat all kinds of stuff that would kill us. I've seen them eat poisonous fruits and berries. Think of the manchineel tree. The manchineel tree is a toxic tree that lives down here in South Florida and really nowhere else in the U.S. It has little apples. They smell nice, but if you eat one, you'll get very sick. and I've seen birds eat them without a problem.
Mm.
I've seen birds eat poisonwood seeds. I have a poisonwood tree in my front yard. So I tell people, they say, well, it's like chicken feed. Chicken feed is cheap crap. So basically, do you want to eat the food of kings or do you want to eat chicken feed? And that's where the whole duck food, bird seed, whatever came from. And it's just a funny way of getting people to think.
And that's why people love you, because you go back to that and you talk about it's duck food, feed it to the ducks. And, the grains that our ancestors did eat years ago is not the modern, it's like short grain. It's been genetically modified and bred to be, to not fall over. And we now treat it with glyphosate, and that white flour that they use, or whole wheat flour, to make today's bread is not the bread that our ancestors ate either. So people don't talk about that. I'm looking at my mango tree right now out the window that has no mangoes on it now, but it had a couple. It had a lot of wind in the spring, so they blew off, and I only had like 3 or 4 on the whole tree, right? But I let them sit there and ripen. I don't eat them, but I could have. And that window was a very small window in the entire year that I would have or could have eaten the mangoes. And when you talk about fruit, that's when we can technically eat fruit, that short window when it's available. And depending on whatever the crop is. And we don't grow, well, I guess we can grow bananas, right? They'll grow here.
I do.
Yeah, but I don't think they're indigenous to Florida. I think they're planted, right?
Well,
we bring them in and they'll thrive.
The bananas that we grow are not even natural bananas because they're actually cloned from the rootstock.
Yeah.
Natural bananas have a lot of seeds. So if you want to eat a banana, it's going to be like a vintage watermelon. You're going to have to be spitting out seeds, and they are hard seeds. And the thing is that most of these plants are designed so that when an animal eats the fruit and the seeds pass through the digestive system. Banana seeds have to be roughed up with sandpaper, otherwise they won't sprout. So it goes to show, I mean, there's other plants like that too. There are a lot of plants that will not grow unless the seeds are what they call scarified, like in a bird's system. Bird eats seeds. Some of them are digested. Some remain undigested. They're pooped out the other end, and then they grow.
The way, like the birds and the bees, they eat the seeds and they poop the seed. I have a little bird feeder here with water in it, and I see whole seeds because the birds turned their little butt around and pooped, and I can see the seeds that did not get digested. And that's, of course, how things start regrowing.
Right. That's why if you had like a natural disaster, a hurricane wiped out an entire island, or you had a volcano or some complete forest fire that burned everything, destroyed all the seeds, you start seeing these little plants popping up, right? Because as birds come in, they do their business.
They do their business.
Whether they're doing their business on the ground or as they fly over, they'll flap their wings and then they'll glide and they'll, and then out it comes. It eventually works its way down and it falls onto the ground.
Yeah,
into the soil.
We forget how that all works as modern humans. We're so into our cell phones and our technology, and I just know, being a retired teacher, I know our kids don't know how things work, where they came from, even the food they buy, I get it on the store shelf. It comes in a package in plastic. I put it in the microwave. I mean, I used to do a lesson with the kids where I draw a big circle on the board and divide it into 3s and say, what are the natural resources, the human resources, the capital resources that make this thing here? And they didn't have any concept of how things are made and where they came from. So I remember teaching that, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Getting back to ducks now, I've always wanted to ask you this question. I don't know if we ever talked about it online. So, all right, you have had ducks that you corral into your property and you overfeed so that you can take them and use them for food, right? I remember you talking about that. All right, say I'm going to do that. All right, how do you kill the duck? How do you remove its feathers and clean it and prepare it? What do you take out of it before you cook it? I don't know how to do all that. I just go buy a duck in the store that's all prepped.
It's not complicated. The main thing is that whenever you eat any kind of animal, whether it is a large cow or whether it is a bird, You do not want to eat the digestive system.
Right.
Now, some people will use digestive components. For example, like when you're cooking a pig, they'll actually use the intestines as a casing for sausages. But you have to wash all the fecal matter out of it, because all animals, they contain bacteria. I mean, we do too.
Yeah.
And that's something you don't want in your food. If you were to take the whole duck and just put it into the oven, well, that stuff would burst out. It would scatter all kinds of toxins and bacteria and everything. So the first thing you need to do, of course, I don't like to kill ducks when they're just running around the neighborhood, because you never know what they've been eating. It's like when you want to make escargot and you get snails out of your garden. They may have been eating very toxic plants. For example, if they were eating, I don't know, some of the flowers, maybe they're eating amaryllis or something else like that. They have cyanides and other nasty poisons in them. So you'll take the snails and you'll feed them a clean food like lettuce or even grass, something that will go through their system and all the toxins will go out. Now, when you're preparing a duck, you don't know what the duck was eating. They could have been eating Doritos. They could have been eating bugs.
Right.
They could have been eating grass, anything. So I like to catch the duck. And a lot of times what I'll do, I provide a duck removal service. Now, if you live here in South Florida, you know that a lot of people don't like ducks. And I've had friends that do pressure cleaning, they do work or whatever. People will offer to pay them money to remove the ducks. They'll pay them $20 a duck or whatever it is. So what they do, they just get my phone number, they call me and my phone rings, and then they say, Rick, I got a customer that needs to have some ducks removed. Okay, no problem. And I go over there and we negotiate a duck removal price, which is always very reasonable. And I'll have my trucker van ready with cages in it. And what I'll do, I'll bring whatever, typically cracked corn. I get it from the feed store and you throw it around. You get the ducks to start eating it. If the ducks are a little timid, I'll go ahead and get them used to it. I say it may take a few days. There is no charge for my time. It's only a straight fee per duck. And I guarantee the ducks will not return. Now, I've actually had people wonder, well, what do you do with them? Do you want me to really tell you what I do with them? I eat them. Like, what? So they're in shock. They're thinking, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to just kill the duck and put it in the garbage? No, I will grab the ducks and I'll put them in the cage. Now I bring them here. I let them loose in my yard and I observe how they interact with each other. Usually you get a whole flock of them. You might have some females, you have some males. I generally don't eat the females because they're only like 5 or 6 pounds. There's not much meat on
smaller.
them.
Okay.
They're small. These are
Muscovy ducks now, mostly.
Muscovy ducks.
Right.
Now, the beauty of them is they lay eggs. They don't lay a lot of eggs. But what I do, I use my own technique. So instead of like you hire one of these companies, they come, they kill all the ducks, they throw them in the garbage, and that's it. I gather them up and I bring them to my yard. I let them loose. And there's a few ducks around here they may interact with. And then I have nesting areas where they can go and they're going to nest. They're going to lay eggs. And what I do, I replace their eggs with fake eggs or eggs. Yeah, that's what I do. And they have like a silicone insert, so they feel like real eggs.
Oh, my
gosh. And I'll replace them. I may leave them 2 or 3 eggs that will hatch. But normally I replace all their eggs.
So they think that they're still there, you mean? And they'll act normally and continue to lay? And
right.
Oh.
Because otherwise, if you remove their eggs, they'll abandon the nest and go somewhere else, probably into the neighbor's yard. And then there's a problem. Once the duck population becomes too numerous, they get into the neighbor's yard. Then you have all kinds of conflicts. Next thing you know, they're calling code enforcement. And it turns into a nightmare.
Wow.
So I keep the population under control. I observe how they act. The ducks that are the most aggressive, the ones that cause the most trouble, I move them to a special area of the yard. Now, I generally will pick the most aggressive male, the one that causes the most trouble, and I move him to what I call the executive suite, which is a fenced-in area in my backyard. It's about 10 by 10, and it has its own pond. It has a little waterfall feature, and then I feed them regularly. Now, I will take him and I will try to feed him as much duck food as possible. I hit the dumpster over there at Aldi. I'll get some bread and I'll get some vegetables or fruits or whatever that they throw out. Plus, sometimes I have bananas, mangoes, whatever the season is, palm berries, cherries. I bring him food. Now, Mr. Ducky by himself is not going to be happy. So what I do, I allow access to females. So the duck fattening area has a very narrow opening that's just big enough for the females to get through. But when he tries to get out,
Really?
it actually closes a little bit. So it'll get like this wide. And then when he backs up, it's designed to work. So he's stuck in that area, but the females can come and go as they want. And when I feed him, a lot of times the females will come in because they want to eat with him. But then since he's an aggressive male duck, he wants to mate. And the mating instinct is strong. So he's going to mate with every female that gets in there. If the females find it a little too difficult to deal with, they can simply go out through the opening and that's it. He can't get out. But a lot of times the females, they want it too. So they're going to willingly submit to being mated with. And then that stimulates them to produce eggs. And of course, since I pick the eggs, I don't have to worry about the population increasing. So I keep it very stable. Usually I keep it to like replacement rate. So if I'm eating maybe 5 ducks, there may be an increase of 5 ducks. It's a really great system. And the thing is, by doing that, I eliminate the stress. If you go and hunt down a duck and you kill it, it's going to have that sort of stress response, plus the fact that they're eating who knows what. It's going to taste like a mixture between dirt and metal, and it's not going to be very flavorful. But when Mr. Ducky, he's got his females, he's got constant food. He has no desire to go out and cause trouble. And a lot of times he'll calm down quite a bit. And even I've had him get out. I let him one time out and the other males were there and they didn't fight because he was so overweight. He just had no desire to fight.
Okay.
But when he reaches a proper weight, now you got to do this the right amount of time, because if you let them get too fat, they will die of a heart attack. I lost one of my ducks to a heart attack. By the time I came home, the flies were already buzzing around him.
Wow.
And it was time to throw him out. But the second one that had a heart attack, it happened when I was here. So I went into the next
got him right away. Yeah.
I got him right away. And as you asked, how do you process the duck? Well, it's very simple. You remove its head. If he's still alive, the feeder actually has an opening.
All right. Before you go there, before you remove the head, let's say he hasn't died yet, but you've decided it's time. How do you end its life?
I used that special duck feeder. It has a track on it. If you've ever seen the French Revolution and you're familiar with the guillotine, it's like that. Okay. Except this one is even more intense. It's not gravity fed, it's spring loaded. So you have to pull this thing up. It's got pins that holds it in place and it has a pivot. So every time the duck sticks his head in, the pivot moves. Well, there's a little latch that holds it. So although the pivots move, the blade is there. I pull the latch out and I wait.
Fast. Yeah.
Then when I go to feed him, I walk away. And there's a light. So when that thing comes down, it triggers a micro switch. There's a light actually in my kitchen. Ironically, it's in the kitchen. And it's a little neon light. It's a strip. And it comes on and it tells me that his head has been removed.
You have a signal in your kitchen that tells you it has happened.
And it also rings the doorbell buzzer, which I have to, trigger it, but it goes bzz, bzz. These old phones.
So if I come to your house and I hear buzzing and I see lights, I know you're catching ducks.
Well, either somebody's rung the doorbell or Ducky lost his head.
Oh,
now, once he loses his head, he'll flap around a little bit, but the way that it's designed, you have to go into this opening to get to the food. He can't really do that. So he'll just kind of bleed out but other than that, they'll start running around like a chicken without its head, and they'll go around, and that it might damage the meat a little bit, but this way it's very good. It's very quick, and it happens so fast that Mr. Ducky, he doesn't even know what hit him.
All right.
And I tell everyone, if I was a ducky, I'd rather go through that than be ripped apart by some of the coyotes or dogs in the neighborhood, or run over by a car.
Yeah, and we have a lot of them that get run over here. All right, so then you remove the feathers and take out the intestines.
Well, you have to remove the feathers by boiling the duck, and Muscovy ducks are really tough, so I add a degreaser to it. And that's the way that I do it.
What, a big giant pot?
A big pot of boiling water.
I get a burner. Loosens the feathers so that they just come right off.
Yes. So what I'll do, I'll scrub it a little bit with some. Well, I used to use lye, although I can't get it anymore, but I'll use washing soda and scrub the duck to get the oil off. Then you plunge it in the boiling water up and down. Now, you don't want to do it too much or you might cook the meat. Then you can pluck the feathers out.
Okay.
If You don't get all the feathers. It's not the end of the world,
They'll come off
because
and
the
cook
little
it.
feathers,
Yeah.
they'll burn off when you fry it.
Right.
And then since the head is already off, the next thing you want to do after you get the feathers off, you got to go around the rear end, what they call the vent, and you cut around that. Now the duck cavity is mostly empty, but where the rear end is, there's like a little piece you cut out. And then once you do that, you can start pulling out the intestines. And the part where the head is, that goes down to the little crop or the stomach. So you got to, the best way is cut out the back end, put some gloves on if you're squeamish, and reach in there and pull the guts out. And then I take a garden hose and I stick it in through where the head was. And then to get those little bits and
I'm
pieces
thinking
out
turkey and chicken when I used to clean it in the sink, but I got mine at the store.
Right.
All right. All right. And then is that the only, what about the organs? I mean, do you eat the organs? Do you eat the heart, the liver, the kidney?
Yes. Well, generally the heart, I'll eat that. The liver is the one you really want to get, because if you've ever had foie gras, that's what it's made from. That's duck liver.
Yeah.
Now, foie gras, they force feed the ducks with a funnel, and they typically use the Muscovy ducks, or they use a goose, and they put the food in there and they shove it in there. But with my method, the foie gras is what I call ethical foie gras, because I don't force them to eat anything. But if you give them the right amount of addictive food, especially junk food. Now, I don't feed my ducks only junk food, but I use it as a trigger. You give them the corn chips, you give them the bread. Bread is the most effective, because they'll go for that. And then you add the tropical fruit. Once they eat the bread, they start getting into that tropical fruit, and they just put on weight like crazy. So you go from a duck that may be a little chubby to a massive, the thing could be like 18 pounds. I had them as big as 20 pounds.
Wow.
A big, fat. That's the one that had a heart attack.
A heart attack.
He had and the reason I know he had a heart attack is when I cut him open to get the heart out, there was actually a layer of fat around the heart, and the artery was clogged. It was all.
You saw it. Wow.
I saw it because,
Wow.
he dissected it. Because my friend's like, how do you know he had a heart attack? You didn't see him have the heart attack. Yes, but when I prepared him for dinner, I found the signs. And that's why it's so easy. When you dissect any animal, you can tell when it has heart disease.
And all of this, I love that you talk about this a lot. And a lot of people, some people may not get it, but we're comparing how humans eat ultra processed food and all the duck food, and what happens to the human body is the same. We get fat, we get heart attacks, our arteries clog from the carbohydrates and the sugar. Correct?
That's right. And the other thing too, it's definitely addictive, because if you try to get the ducks to eat just bugs, they will only eat so much. I have a roach farm that I make out of the egg crates, and I give them roaches. They'll eat a lot, but then they stop.
They get their satiety hormone kicks in like ours does when we only eat meat, right?
That's right. If they eat only bugs, they don't put on a lot of weight. This is the same thing like cattle. Cattle, they have to have like fruit. They used to feed them tropical fruit here and sugar cane. You feed them sugar cane and tropical fruit, because sometimes the squirrels would eat the mangoes or whatever, and they put on weight fast. But if you gave them just hay, or even some of the seeds and stuff they eat, it doesn't put on the weight that fast. But when you can get it where there's a lot of sugar, it really seems to turbocharge the weight gain process. And I never really thought about that until maybe the last year or two, because I had no concept that there's such a thing as carbohydrate addiction. All I know, you can fatten up animals that way. Right. I never realized you can fatten up people the same way.
And that's what happens if you look around. I'm sure you do. And when you go out to Aldi and everything, you see these, very heavy people that we did not see in the 70s.
No,
we didn't see them all over the place like we see today. All right. So you got the feathers off, you gutted the duck. And how do you cook the duck?
Well, that depends. It depends on who you're cooking it for. Generally, if I cook it for myself, I prefer deep fried, because on Rick's heart attack diet, deep fried is the most important. I'm having heart attack chicken for lunch after this interview. So what I'll do, I could do an entire duck fry, but it takes a lot of lard. You have to use a big pot. So what I do, I section the duck up. So I'll cut the wings off. I'll cut the legs off. I'll cut it down the middle of the breast so I can split the two duck breasts. And then, the other little giblets or parts or whatever, I'll put them. And normally they go in the refrigerator. I will freeze a duck if I have a lot of other meats to eat, but normally I try to eat what I catch.
Fresh,
I don't like to store it for too long. because you lose flavor. It's so much better when it's fresh. I know people like to age the beef to make it more tender, but when it comes to poultry and
Poultry's different.
reptiles, the fresher, the better. This is a rule. It's like fishing. Nobody wants old fish.
Yeah, well,
So
I think it has to do with the omega fats in there.
that's another thing.
Not
And
as
the fresher,
saturated. Yeah.
and the thing is, there's got to be omega fats in duck and
Yeah.
iguana because they have a lot of the same characteristics. But the Muscovy duck is so unique because it tastes exactly like beef. You would not know
Really?
the difference. Yes,
Oh,
I have fed a friend of mine. Actually, he ate part of the heart attack duck, and he said that it tasted like ribeye steak.
oh my gosh. I've got to try that.
But that's because it was heavily marbled with fat. That's why I killed him.
Right,
And
right.
I kind of felt bad about it. I gave my duck a heart attack, but after that, I started laughing. I thought it was so funny. They're saying, "Well, how could you kill the duck?" I didn't have to kill him. He died on his own. He had a heart
Yeah,
attack.
yeah.
I just took his head off, squeezed the blood out of him, and it was easy to
Oh,
get
that's
him.
another thing, the blood. You have to get the blood out, all of it, most of it? How do you do that? You're just squeezing?
Well, that's if the duck
Or
died of a heart
just
attack.
drain it, hang them up,
Yeah,
and
you
let it
hang him
come
up and
out?
then you kind
Okay.
of massage it out, and it
This
comes out pretty good. But if you take the head off, it's automatic because they'll pump
Okay,
themselves
right.
dry.
Okay.
And it goes quite a distance. I know probably too much information for most people, but
It
the
might
duck
be.
fattening area has bushes in front of it because if you had a wall or something like that, it would look like a horror movie. So the opening, that's all. It's stainless steel mostly with a little bit of aluminum, and I use a pressure cleaner to clean up the mess because it can get pretty bad.
I bet. Yeah, I'm sure.
But once the job is done, it's very simple. And I'll tell you, I haven't had a duck for a very long time. I usually have one at this time of the year when it gets cooler. We'll see. But I have had several iguanas, so I guess that's
All right, I want
close
to get
enough.
on to that. I want to get on to the same questions with the iguanas in a minute, but one more question about the duck. So you mentioned you like to deep fry it in lard, which is
Yes.
pig fat,
Or
and
beef tallow if I have it.
or beef tallow. And where do you get your lard or your tallow? Do you render it yourself, or do you buy
Yeah.
it?
I usually get it from the dumpster. I go over to Presidente or to Sedano's and I hit the dumpster. Aldi, they don't really have it because I don't think they buy the primal cuts, but a lot of
Okay.
these Latin markets, they buy the primal cuts and they'll section it into steaks and ground beef and whatever.
And throw out
And
the fat.
they throw out the fat. They basically throw it away. Now, some of them, they have people that buy it, but the one over here, they don't. They just throw it in the dumpster. And I go there and I dig through there and I'll
Wow.
find it. And it's mixed with some good and bad, but it doesn't really matter because the rendered part of the fat doesn't really go bad. The whole fat will rot. If you have a piece of fat, you put it out there, within hours, it's already the bacteria are destroying it. But once you take it out, that structure, that whole protein structure, the water and all that, that's thrown away. Or if you do what I do when you render the fat, you eat that almost like chips because there's something like pork rinds
Right.
and what they call cracklins.
Mhm.
So you cut the fat in pieces, you put it in a crock pot or in any other low and slow device. It heats up and then it separates. So the liquid comes out and you pour it through a strainer. And then those little bits and pieces, you can bake them a little bit longer and they make the crunchy cracklins.
And I know with chicken at least, that's the most the chicken skin like that is just better than any potato chip I've ever had. I mean, they're just
And if you think chicken skin is
phenomenal.
good, Muscovy duck skin
Duck
takes
skin,
it to
I'd
the next
love to
level.
try that. That would be great. All right, let's talk iguanas now. Now, this is the time of year they're going to start, as far as from my observation, they start coming out because they have to, they're reptiles, they have to sun. They have to get their body temperature up. So I start seeing tons of iguanas this time of year. And you're doing this. All right.
Oh,
So
you're making me hungry.
ducks to me are like chickens. They're fowl. I can get that. Turkey, as a person, I understand that. Iguana, I've never had. I've never tasted. I've never eaten reptile. So talk to me about how you capture an iguana and the same structure, the way that you told me about the duck. How do you get from catching it to eating it and prepping it?
Well, I made a recent video a couple weeks ago. I was riding my bike. I was doing it. I was talking about iguanas, and one came running out, tried to go through the fence. He couldn't get through, so I
Right.
grabbed him, got him home by the tail.
Now, how did
I
you
had
grab him? How does he let you grab him? I mean, isn't it hard to catch?
well, he doesn't let me grab him. I mean, no animal
How
wants to be
how do
grabbed.
you get it?
I dropped. Basically, I was riding my bike, and if you look at the video, you'll see that I saw the iguana. In my mind, I thought, I'm making a video. I'm not going to waste my time. But the cravings are very strong. You know how it is with the carb cravings. Well, in my case, the iguana cravings got the best of me. I dropped the bike. I ran over there. Now, I had basically an old cell phone in the pocket, which is how I'll make the casual videos.
Oh.
And when I tried to get the iguana, eventually it fell out. And all my shirts, they have a pocket because, again, I wear these button-down shirts, not white ones like this, obviously, because when I'm outside, I mean, I'm always in the dirt. But the way I did it, I just, I'm tall, but I can bend down and reach pretty quickly. So I'll run and try to anticipate where the iguana is going to go. And as soon as I get the chance, I grab it by the tail. Now, you got to be really careful because iguanas do bite, and they can give you a nasty bite, and they'll infect you. I've never been bitten by an iguana. But on the other hand, I don't want to try.
You don't want to try, but yet you did it. You went and grabbed it, and you took the chance. You took the dare.
I took the chance
Yeah.
because the reward is so good. So the trick is, if you grab the iguana by the tail, you got to find that sweet spot. You go too far to the end, and the tail will break off. The iguana runs away.
Oh.
You get too close to the body, and the iguana will turn around and bite you.
Oh.
And also, iguanas have pretty sharp claws.
Right.
So the thing is, grab the iguana usually about 6 inches from where the tail meets the legs. And then you hold on to it just a little bit to sort of get them to the point where they realize they can't get away. Then you invert the iguana and make sure that the iguana is pointing down. That way the blood goes to its head and the aggression will go away.
Oh.
They're not going to try to bite you. When they're upside down like that, that's it. You've got them under control. But the trick is you got to keep, if you let them, they'll slide down because the iguana's skin is a little bit slippery. I mean, it's not real slippery, but if you don't grab them, so you have to choke up on it. But you got to make sure that you don't let it go too far. The tail will break off and they'll run away.
Okay.
So I stopped my bike and I lowered him down. Now he put his feet on my leg. I didn't want to get scratched. So then I was able to, choke down on the tail and then get him up and got him away from me. And then I just carried him. And I basically took him home. When I came to my house, the mailman.
You had your bike now. Did you ride?
Yeah, I was on the bike.
You carried him and then rode on the bike with him?
Yes, I had him in my right hand. I had my left hand on the handlebars.
I'm trying to picture this.
You could see the video. I mean, the video is on my channel.
Wow.
And I have really good balance, which I guess maybe due to carnivore. I don't know. But I've carried some big and heavy things on the bicycle and I've never crashed.
All right.
So I don't know if that's training or what it is, but I had him in my hand. I got to the house and I didn't know where to put him because I didn't have a knife or anything to get him ready. So I had an old file cabinet by my garage door. I pulled the drawer out in the file cabinet, put the iguana in, shut the drawer, and that was it. And that gave me a time to go through stuff, get rid of stuff, and get ready for him. And I checked on him. I opened the drawer and he was there. He's scratching around in there. And it was probably that night that I finally prepared him for dinner because I figured, well, I caught him. I might as well cook him. And then what I did, now by that time he got feisty again. He was kind of difficult to grab onto. So I tried to grab him by the tail. He tried to bite me a couple times. I ended up using a piece of wood and I got him to bite down on that. I grabbed it by the tail and then I kind of got him up in the air again. And then the problem was I lost my knife. I don't know where it was. I was looking for it. And then I realized, because I was cutting banana leaves with it. So I had the knife over there and then I was able to get him on the stump and then go through his head. And then that way I was able to get him ready for cooking.
Okay. All right. Next step.
Well, the next step is
getting him ready for cooking. Do you have to take out his guts too?
Well, generally with iguanas, there's not much meat on the body. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I use the body for is to save the hide. And I'm trying to get a good enough hide where I can make a seat for my bicycle out of an iguana skin.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't quite big enough. There's really nothing in there. There's a tiny bit of muscle. There's a few organs, but the risk of salmonella can be high. So it's easier to just cut off the legs and cut off the tail. There's a lot of meat in the tail, and that's what I did. And then the body, I just cut it, down the back and then spread it out. And then I use salt to try to dry it out. I have the skin. I don't have it with me, but I have a collection that I've been getting, and I keep them in the freezer. So that way, when it comes time, I'll soften them up and then I can use them. I want to put them together and make like a bicycle seat. I figured that'd be, one thing. I might even make boots out of them eventually.
Cool. Now you eat the tail and the feet.
Tail and legs
have the most meat.
Yes.
Okay.
There's some meat in the head, but not much.
But not the body.
No, the body is basically skin. There are like connections where the ribs are, but we're talking like, I don't know, a few ounces of rib meat. You have to get a really big iguana. It's like when people eat alligator, they typically eat the tail. I don't even know if they eat the legs of the alligator because the legs have a lot of meat. But iguana body, not much meat. That's the way the lizards are made.
So the legs and the tail, and it tastes like what?
It's between fish and chicken. It depends on what the iguana ate and where it was living.
Very interesting. And will one iguana fill you? Or is it too much?
It's big enough, yes.
Not enough meat, or you're still wanting more if it's not big enough?
A 3 to 4 foot iguana is generally enough to satisfy my meal. I do eat 3 times a day, so yeah, that's plenty of meat.
And what have you had today? You haven't had anything today so far, but you're going to have some. What are you having for lunch?
I had breakfast, which was basically bacon and eggs.
Okay.
Lunch, I'm going to have heart attack chicken. I have one of my viewers had sent me some chicken in my last live stream, so I'm finishing that up, and that's deep fried in lard.
All right. And what parts of the chicken do you deep fry? Legs?
Oh,
wings,
anything.
Any
the thing is, I don't really like chicken breast. Chicken breast to me is the worst part of the chicken. I prefer the thighs, the legs, and the wings. That's because the thing is, there's more skin. I think the worst travesty that anyone ever came up with is boneless, skinless chicken breast. That is not food, in my opinion.
It fits the formula that the low fat 80s, don't have any fat, and then they probably fried it in vegetable oil too. So chicken breast, or they didn't have any oil. I mean, it was very lean. So yeah, you're eating the best part, and I love the skin. I mean, I could just eat the skin, and like I said earlier, you could fry the skin, and it's like potato chips. So
that's
flavorful.
Right.
Nothing tastes as good as those chips. I wish they made them in bags and bags and bags. I'd buy them.
That's true.
I would. They're just amazing. Even way better than pork rinds.
That's true.
Yeah. So, all right. And then for dinner, what are you going to have?
Dinner, I mean, beef has been very expensive, so I don't have it. I'll probably have pork instead. I have some pork shoulders, so I'll probably have that for dinner.
Yeah, beef is.
And normally when I eat pork, I do eat it with sauerkraut because when I'm eating low quality meats, I'm not getting all the nutrition that I need. So I do ferment. Yes, I have a garden, so don't tell me that I'm not a carnivore. I have cabbages growing in my garden, and the best thing about them is the bugs love to get to them. So I keep screen over where the cabbages were. The ducks would love to hang out there at night. Those little cabbage moths that would try to lay their eggs, the ducks, they'd snap them up instantly.
Perfect. You've got a whole ecosystem going on there.
That's right. I had lights. I have those little pagoda lights around my garden at night, so it attracts the bugs. And when the ducks are out there, I flip the lights on, and they just sit there. It's like a buffet for them.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I want to get down there one of these days and visit you, and you could take me on a tour of your house too, and your encyclopedias, and all your doorbell, and all your phone, and your stereo, and all your X10 lights, and all these cool things.
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. And everything, you have everything right by you. I say something and you reach for it. I don't know where you have this microphone set up, but you've got everything in reach.
Well, everything. My house is full of stuff. I got more junk than anybody. You can barely walk in this place.
Someone might accuse you of being a hoarder.
Oh, I am. I am, because the thing is, I collect things that you can't get anymore.
Yeah.
If it's something that, I mean, anything that is just something that you can't get anymore.
Vintage. Yeah.
Vintage. I mean, I got items that people don't even know what they are. This is what we used to use for looking at slides when we set up the carousel.
Yeah. So you and I are almost the same age, so we know all the stuff. I know all the stuff you're talking about. But some of the kids today, you hold some of these things up and they would have no concept. of what that is.
It's
Even
like the phone, you know. I've had kids say, "Oh, that's where that symbol comes from
the
on the cell
symbol,
phone."
right? They think it's a
Yeah,
symbol.
right. They didn't
Right.
realize it's a real phone.
We were tethered. Even your microphone. Look at that cool old mic.
Yeah, that's from this is a early 60s
Oh, I see.
model of Shure 55S.
And it sounds perfect.
It sounds perfect,
It
and I
does.
polished it up like 30 years or
Yeah, it
whenever
looks
I
really
got it.
new.
I mean, it looks good.
That is cool.
This I chrome plated myself way back when I first learned about chrome plating,
Wow.
because I'm a car guy, and it has that pot metal. It's not perfect. I mean, you can see there's a few little pits that I filled in, but I did this myself years ago, and it's still holding up.
That's pretty cool. All right, let's talk about your name. Charger Mopar is how you started your YouTube channel a long time ago. And, we're about the same age. So I know what Mopar is. And I remember all the kids that had Chargers, and all the other kinds of cars like that. So you started out that way, right?
Yeah. I had 2 YouTube channels when I started in 2007. One of them, if you remember back then, we had a real energy crisis where gas was getting more and more expensive. Stock market was going up because the Federal Reserve was pumping money in the economy like they always do to screw things up. And people were making these scams. You can run your car on water, and free energy scams. Oh, we have a generator that runs itself and powers your house. All this nonsense. And people would believe it. Get your HHO generator. You can put some jars in your car and hook it up to your battery and run your. It's like, oh man, you
People
people
fall
don't
for
know
it.
you have no idea what the laws of thermodynamics are
Yeah.
about. And so I made a channel on that. And of course, I made a lot of enemies like I always do. For some reason, people always take it out on me. I'm the bad guy. And YouTube deleted both my channels. But
Really?
but this channel, this was going to be on cars. Since I like Dodge Chargers, I have 1969 Dodge Chargers. I wanted to make videos about restoring and all that. Now, this is before my parents got sick. So I had kind of the garage set up and everything. I was going to do that. But when I got into the YouTube battle, because what it came to, YouTube was doing advertising. And I think some of the people that advertise those free energy scams, they complained about my channel to YouTube. It got deleted, but they deleted both my channels. And then on this channel, I had other videos that I did about my wood powered truck and a couple things like that. They lost all those videos. The only video I got left, I think, is the one where I had a problem with the county, and I put that up there, and that one is still on my channel. But I think also the one where I used a bobcat to dismount a tire on my truck. Everything else was wiped out. But when that happened, it was like 2010. I said, forget YouTube. I'm done with it. I'm not going
Yeah.
to waste my time on this stupid thing. And then my parents, they needed help. They got sick, ended up coming here. It's a long story. And it was from 2010 to like 2020 when my mom died. I posted not a single YouTube video, not even one.
Mm.
And then, like in 2020 and 2021, I started making videos. I made a video about my payphone. I made a video about some of the plants in my yard, my hydraulic hoses, because I had watched YouTube channels mostly on agriculture and some technology, car guys. I didn't even know there was a carnivore community until 2021. I had seen videos. I had seen Saladino and I'd seen Baker, but I didn't know there was a group. I thought it was just a couple people making videos. And then by 2020, 2021, I started seeing these people. I got invited to be interviewed in 2022. And then since then, it's been like I've been on everybody's
What was
channel.
that first interview? Who was that?
That was Joey Schwartz.
Okay. Was the first interview.
The first. Now, I had one of his interviews that one of my viewers had saved. I uploaded that like a few weeks ago, but that was the third interview. There were 3 interviews.
Okay.
I don't know where I can find them. They've disappeared, but there were 3 of them. And my first interview had hundreds of thousands of views.
Wow.
It was crazy. And when I looked at that, I go, why would all these people? Because he
Right.
had interviewed other carnivores. He interviewed some famous ones. But when they interviewed me, it was like all of a sudden there was this huge surge. And I don't know if it was YouTube putting it out or what happened, but I was in shock. Like, who wants to watch me? And then, of course, once Dr. Chafee found the Maggie lady, that kind of took the whole novelty out. Well, I'm no longer the longest carnivore. And then it kind of leveled off, and then it's been sort of stable since then.
So that's what it was. You were a carnivore for the longest that anybody had ever heard at that point.
39 years at that time.
At that time, yeah. Wow. And you were planning to have a heart attack, do the opposite of what your parents and everybody said, and to eat that saturated fat and that meat because you didn't like sugar and carbs, which
right.
Is interesting because most people, like the ducks, we're addicted to it. We like it. I love sugar and carbs. I could still get stuck on it right now if I went back, but not you.
The thing is that I'm not really poor, but being relatively poor compared to everybody else in the neighborhood, meat was something that I got all the time.
Okay.
If I wanted to get all the meat I wanted, we had to go to the Sweden House Smorgasbord. And then that was like, usually on Saturday we go, there was like $1.50 at the time, which seems really cheap. I mean, I guess at that time it was like $15, but that was our treat for the family. Took us to Sweden House Smorgasbord. And they had everything. They had the salads and desserts.
Right.
But I hit the meat. I'd always hit the roast beef, the fried chicken, and the frog legs when they had them. I devour those things. Then my mom used to make a deal. Well, you have to eat the salad to eat the meat. So I would eat the salad first. And that was kind of my thing. A little bit of salad, and then I'd hide it. I'd put it in one of the fake plants.
So you could get to the meat. Yeah.
So I get to the meat. Or when they pick up the dishes, the waitress would come, I'd cover it up with the other stuff and shove it in there. So I might eat 2 or 3 leaves and then ditch the rest. And then I can go and hit the guy with the white hat cutting the roast beef and then the chicken and whatever other. They had Swedish meatballs. I devour those things. That was my thing. And then for dessert, I didn't like the desserts. At the Sweden House, it was kind of optional. They did have some desserts, but the Jell-O was the only dessert that I would eat. And they did have an ice cream machine. But every time that I ate ice cream as a kid, it would hurt my teeth and I'd get sick from it. I had times where I threw up when I tried to eat the ice cream. I would literally throw up.
Wow.
So I avoided it. I learned not to eat it. And the older I got, I started to see, because we normally went to buffet because we're a poor family. The meat was always sort of like the little treasure. That's the thing they try to hide. They put everything else out, but they only put out the meat at certain times. So in my young brain, I thought that must be the stuff.
Special stuff. Yeah.
That's the special stuff. So I would hit the meat. And the older I got, the crazier I got, and the more I gravitated towards the meat.
And look at you. It's 2025 and you were right all along.
I don't know if I'm right.
You were right all along. And now we're all starting to do the same thing as carnivores. And that's why you're so popular, because you instinctively knew all this way back. And we're just discovering it.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty interesting. We're at the top of the hour already. I could talk to you for 10 hours.
Well, that's what Hack Your Health is for.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I hope that you can get there. I'm going with my husband, Doug, in the truck. It's a 2-seater with our luggage and everything. I thought, oh, man, I'd like to go drive down and pick him up, take him back. But, I mean, hopefully your bus trip's going to be okay. You can make it and get back. Where are you staying? Is it
Russ said that
hotel.
It's at a hotel, but he says it's where I can walk to the convention.
It's hopefully close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be Friday night and Saturday night. So I'm going to go there on Friday. That's why I got to try to catch the bus as early as possible. I'm not going to be able to get there at 8:00. That's impossible.
Right.
The buses usually leave the airport here around 6. So I'll have to get to the airport before then. And then I got to get one that's an express, because the Greyhound is a disaster. You do not want to ride on that. I've had to ride on Greyhound before.
Really?
It's like a mental hospital on wheels.
Oh, God.
It's absolutely terrible. But there's a couple of other services I'm going to look into. I think one of them is called Red Bus or Red Coach or something like that. I've seen people tell me about. And it's going to be at least 5 hours. If I drive there, it takes me 4.5 hours.
Yeah, about 4 hours. Yeah.
So it's going to be at least, I'd say 5.5 hours. So if I left at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I could probably get there by noon or whatever. That'd be fine. Yeah. But I'll be there all of Friday and all of Sunday. I mean, what am I saying? All of Saturday and Sunday.
Friday and Saturday. And Sunday, right? You'll be there Sunday too?
Yeah, I'll be there on Sunday,
Okay,
yes.
Good. All right. We'll have a lot of time. That's great. And we're going to walk around. Wait till you see this place. It's going to just be all these vendors, which is, it's fun. but they don't buy anything. If you bought everything, you'd spend a fortune. And then there's all the speakers. There's a lot of cooking demonstrations, a lot of stuff that we don't believe in or agree with. For example, last year, there was a station, a vendor that sold nicotine patches, things that you put in your mouth. And he was selling why nicotine is good for you. And I freaked out. I'm like, where is the organizer of this event? And why was this person allowed to be in here to sell nicotine? I don't care what one or two little benefits they tell you it does. But that kind of, so you'll see all these things that are unnecessary and crazy and stupid ingredients, but you're also going to see a lot of really cool things. I went and got my DEXA scan last year. I'd never done that before in my life. I figured, what the heck, I'm here, and I paid for it, and I got that done. I got to see, the percentage of body fat and muscle and skeletal and everything. I mean, a lot of really neat things. And the best part, of course, is the people. It's the connections. It's a lot. You're going to spend more time, camaraderie, just reinforcing relationships that you had online. And then all the other stuff will be secondary, but the other stuff's fun too. I mean, it's going to be a blast. And from your perspective, I'm thinking, wow, you haven't traveled or done anything in such a long time. This is going to be such an adventure for you. You're going to have such a blast. I'm excited for you.
That's great. Yeah, the thing is, I don't know anyone physically, but I know of them. I know you.
It's going to be like we've known each other. You'll see.
I think so, yeah.
People are going to be huddled around you. Everybody's going to want to talk to you because we all know you.
Well, I'm the easiest one to find.
Yes, you are.
I can't hide in the crowd.
Look up and look for the head that's poking out, right?
I don't think people realize how tall I am. I don't know. The videos don't really show that.
The videos don't, but when you say the number, I don't know many people above 6'3" or 4", and you're 6'6". So yeah, you'll stick out. That's great. All right, Rick, this has been so much fun. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for agreeing to do your second interview. Very different from the first one, but I wanted it to be that way. I wanted you to just tell me your knowledge about the ducks and the iguanas and everything, and you did. Thank you. And anything else you want to say? Tell our audience where people can find you and connect with you.
Well, I'm easy to find. I'm one of those people that doesn't believe in discrimination. I don't discriminate on the basis of race, gender, orientation, or finance, because a lot of people do discriminate based on financial ability, and I don't. So I provide my live stream Saturday morning at 8, free to everyone. I have no memberships. I don't have super chats. Everyone is equal in my live stream. Good. Now, when I meet you in person, yeah, some people are going to be more my friend than others, but in the live stream, everyone's equal. So you can do that. Now, I haven't done it because my computer equipment is primitive, but I will be doing longer form edited videos that I'll release during the week. But I really only have one live stream. Now, obviously, in 2 weeks, I may not have a live stream because I'm going to be busy with real people at Hack Your Health. So I may have to take off that week. But if you happen to be at Hack Your Health, instead of typing on a keyboard, you can simply tap on, this thing is like, I think you're Rick.
Yeah. You have to be Rick. Oh, great. That's great. Okay. So Charger Mopar on YouTube.
That's right.
All right. Have you thought of changing the name because it's not related to carnivore, or do you like that everybody knows it's Charger Mopar?
Well, I like that because I never promote the carnivore diet. The one thing about my channel, I refuse to be a carnivore diet promoter because I don't think that every human being needs to be on the carnivore diet. And I've said this in almost all my interviews. I don't believe that it's a miracle diet for everyone. What I believe is that for certain people who are dealing with health issues, it's a valuable tool in your toolbox. Do you have to be carnivore your whole life? No, you do not. However, I think if you go by the basic definition of carnivore, 70% or more meat, I think the majority of population could be carnivore. I would say at least 80% of the population could do very well on the carnivore diet. But you may not have access to the meat all the time. So you may have to find another way. And let's say that we have, like now, we have an economic problem or we have some type of natural disaster where our supply of meat is reduced. We may have to eat some plant material.
True.
Yeah. So But Charger Mopar, that just kind of describes what I may do eventually. I may make another YouTube channel and then take all the interviews and everything and sort of organize them. I might put like Rick the Quack or Carnivore Rick or so. I may do that too. But this channel will remain Charger Mopar as long as I'm making videos.
All right. And people know you by that name now. So it's, and it's not connected, doesn't sound like Carnivore, so it's unique.
Yeah, I mean, even like you think of a real popular guy like Kerry Mann. Does he call his channel Carnivore? He calls it what?
Well, it's Homestead How or the other, or the name of the movie, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Homestead How.
Healing Humanity. Because that's how he started, was that he did homesteading. You're right. You're absolutely right.
That's right.
All right, Rick, it's been great. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Hold up the cat. Is he nearby?
I think he's on the bed sleeping. He likes to hide when I have a live stream. We didn't see
him at all in this video. You used to see him all the time when I did my Wednesday nights, remember?
Every time I have a live stream, he hides until he gets hungry. When he gets hungry, he'll come here and he'll bother me.
Yeah. He only wants you when he wants food.
That's right.
All right, my friend. Take care. I'm going to end it. Don't leave yet.